How did this all get put together? Let's see. We combine it with an unvoted millage decrease. That's good. We now go up 0.5%. That's bad. Then we take a fee and we reduce it by 50%. It's a voluntary program. And we put communities in danger of not being able to meet EPA mandates. Sounds to me like something's up. I believe that's called political expedience. Deals were cut behind closed doors, backroom deals. I'm going to call it for what it is. The bottom line is, the way this was constructed, it made it almost impossible for this to go to a vote of the people. The people were denied input. Our county commissioners, governing from on high, made decisions on behalf of the people of Lake County and other local leaders, such as these communities that are participating in the stormwater management program, that they did not consult. They held these hearings that were hearings in name only, and they made these announcements one day before the hearings. How do you prepare responsible questions? How do you interact when you're given approximately 24 hours? No, these folks are like shock troops. They spring it on you before you can properly responsibly act or react, and then they put this dog and pony show on and make it almost impossible to do anything other than deal with them at the ballot box.
John, I'd like to follow up on that a little bit. In your response to the questionnaire, you talked about the Commissioner's office stating that this financial crisis just happened and these are difficult times. What would have been a better approach?
Oh, Chuck, thank you. Let's talk about these so-called public hearings. In these hearings, our commissioners admitted for the last 9 years, they have ignored, emphasis added, ignored their own financial advisors. Now, some people have interpreted that by saying, oh, the commissioners were being brave and they were holding the line and keeping taxes low. No, they were actually out there buying buildings, buying property, and squandering what resources we had, which were called our carryover and our reserves, which have been depleted to the point of nothing. The reality is, I would have been proactive. This economy didn't just falter. It was obvious. A reasonable person, and I emphasize, what would a reasonable person do? And ask yourself, are these folks acting as reasonable people? No, they're acting like political opportunists. And I have to emphasize what Dave Feedy pointed out, turnaround, turnaround. This is the kind of skill set that we need at the top. People who understand where there's a problem, you have to first admit what that problem is. And some people are afraid to admit what the problem is because they may have to take responsibility for their actions. And that's what I would do. I would be bottom line. I would be getting the truth out there, airing out just how bad things are, and not be going out and getting into the real estate business and buying office buildings and buying new car dealerships to turn into garages and buying land. It's squandering of our valuable resources and what few we have. Thank you, sir.
Okay, one more question from the panel here, and that deals with the issue of the county land bank, which sounds like it's going to happen if it hasn't already happened. Could you explain your position and thoughts about the county land bank, and perhaps you could just clarify what that is?
Thank you, sir. County land bank, something that has me scared. I'm taking pause. It could be a good thing. However, by all indications, there are no checks and balances being put in place. We have a situation where the county is going to be accumulating land, properties that are currently in foreclosure, they're behind in taxes, and one of the other things they say is for other reasons. You know, when I see a politician put a phrase in there like for other reasons, it's painting with a very broad brush, and that's usually what we call in business a catch-all. That catch-all usually is not a good thing. There's nothing there that would protect us, the people of Lake County, from an unscrupulous bank or company from dumping an unwanted piece of property on us. Let's think back how many years it was in Fairport when they had the soup ponds and all the other hazardous chemicals. Imagine if we had a county land bank that were delinquent, and the took that property over. I question, is ORC strong enough to prevent that kind of a bad judgment? I don't know. And the bottom line is, when we're in the unknown, that's a problem. And the county commissioners right now are not making any reasonable effort to educate the community, let alone educating other elected officials, so that we can communicate with our community on a one-on-one basis. That kind of communication doesn't exist. And if you look at the construction of this county land bank, it's being funded, where? Out of the Lake County Treasurer's Office by fines and penalties. Dollars that are being redirected to what might amount to a disastrous program of land accumulation and taking land out of service and turning it into public use. Okay, how many parks do we need? How much green space do we need? I don't know, something just doesn't sound right. And what are the precautions that we'd have in place to prevent, I don't mean to go off on this, but I will anyway, what's going to stop sweetheart deals from taking place? Where are the checks and balances? If you look at the way that this is being incorporated and the leadership structure that we're being told about, where are the checks and balances? Where's the public input? Is this going to have the same scrutiny that, say, the Ohio Sunshine Laws would apply to? Or is this going to be more of a business model where those backroom deals that seem to keep getting us in trouble keep happening? I would suggest, folks, keep a real close eye on this county land bank. And I will tell you, from a turnaround perspective, this is where someone like Dave Fiebig and I, having business experience in dealing with properties, would be able to make reasonable evaluations of what's good and what's bad. I'm not going to say that this is a good thing or a bad thing. It's something well worthy of keeping a close eye on. Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to have questions from the audience, and in particular, if you didn't ask a question the first round, we'd like to give you first shot at the second round here. So you just raise your hand. Either that or Mr. Hamercheck covered everything that you wanted to hear already. Question back.
One of the questions I have, which you just brought to my mind when you talked about the land bank, was Lost Nation Airport. It's kind of been volleyed around, and once in a while it pops up in the News Herald that they've done a study, the commissioners paid for a study. Now they're talking about putting it in with the Port Authority, and it just keeps getting volleyed about. And just wonder what your thought process is about what they're going to do with it, or do you have a strategy for it? Or is it just going to end up being sold off to the highest bidder and then turned into a housing development or an industrial complex?
Thank you, sir. Well, let's cut right to the chase. The FAA is not in the business of closing airports. There are a number of people who say when these improvement grants run out after X number of years, game over. We can shut things down. We can sell off to the highest bidder. You're very accurate on a lot of these stories. But the reality is, and by the way, that ringtone, Benny Hill? The Benny Hill ringtone? Yeah, that'd be my ringtone for Madison Village Council. Yes, I have a sense of humor. But ever since I could put that in there, it's a big hit back home. Thought I'd share that with you since I forgot to put the phone on vibrate. Back to the matter at hand, though, Lost Nation Airport. There is so much disinformation out there about that airport, it's amazing. And that's a disservice to our community. And the people have a right to know exactly what the mechanism is behind operating an airport. And let's cut to the chase. Every form of transportation, be it roads, rail, air, every one of those is subsidized by the taxpayers. And we as voters, we as taxpayers, have to decide what are we willing to do as far as the level of subsidies. We have to make informed decisions. The sad reality is the truth isn't getting out there. You know, in some places you hear, the airport's just nothing but a bunch of boys with their expensive toys. On the other hand, you have businesses saying that they can bring people in and out freely, and it's an attractive prospect for our community. But one of the things that I like to say is I think the Lake County Commissioners need to get out of the way of the local elected officials and let them do their jobs. And if we were growing businesses and we did